Fellow citizens, I am not wanting in respect for the fathers of this republic. The signers of the Declaration of Independence were brave men. They were great men, too, great enough to give frame to a great age. It does not often happen to a nation to raise, at one time, such a number of truly great men. The point from which I am compelled to view them is not, certainly, the most favorable, and yet I cannot contemplate their great deeds with less than admiration. They were statesmen, patriots, and heroes, and for the good they did and the principles they contended for, I will unite with you to honor their memory. That's from a speech given on July the 5th, 1852, by Fredrick Douglass, a former slave and an abolitionist. He gave that speech at Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York, at a commemoration ceremony for the signing of the Declaration of Independence. A speech that is well known for its question, its thesis question: what to a slave is the 4th of July? I can't help but commiserate with Mr. Douglass at this point in American history. I say it with a sad sense of the disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you, this day, rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence, bequeathed by your fathers, is shared by you, but not by me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn. Now you might accuse me of being overly dramatic. Nobody's coming knocking on my door demanding to see my papers. But the President of these United States, our President, has stated into live microphones for public consumption that he thinks it's a good idea that we should deport the homegrowns next. It's here. The nightmare is here. It's not down the road. It's not a distant mirage. It's here. It is the 4th of July, 2025. And I find myself filled with a quiet rage. We, the United States of America, just opened Alligator Alcatraz, an ICE detention facility in Florida, in the Everglades of Florida, that boasts one road in and out, and surrounded by impassable swampland filled with alligators. And our fellow Americans are proud of this, have cheered that people who came to this country seeking to flee abject conditions in the country of their birth, to make for themselves and for their children and their children's children a better life. Just like German prisoner 21090, my great-grandfather. These are his dog tags from World War I. He was in the German army. I've talked about him in a previous episode. He was captured by the British. He came to this country to make a better life for him and for his family. And I am a product of that. Would you call my grandfather an anchor baby? I bet you wouldn't. Because he's white. He looks like an all-American success story. He's not brown. He's not other. He looks like one of us. And our fellow Americans cheered for the opening of Alligator Alcatraz. And the fact that anyone who might try to escape into the swamps has a probability, a non-zero probability, of being eaten by alligators. When all they want is just their slice of the American dream. Now, I'm not saying, never have said, never will say, that there are not criminals, people who have come from other countries, from Central and South American countries, who have committed horrible crimes. Crimes for which we already have laws. Crimes for which they should certainly be held accountable. But this administration, by and large, is not rounding up gang members. They're not rounding up murderers. They're rounding up at least a 75% rate people with no criminal record whatsoever, other than being in the country possibly illegally. They're arresting people leaving their court appointments. People that are in the process, the immigration process, that are doing the right thing. They're showing up for their appointments, their court dates. And they're arresting them as they leave. This is just cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And our fellow Americans smile and cheer for it. So I can't celebrate the 4th of July. I'm not in a celebratory mood. I'm in the very same mood that inspired me to start this channel in the first place. I'm depressed. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. And I want to make something very clear if any MAGA are still watching. My anger, my frustration on election night and every day since, the source of my anger and frustration is not that Donald Trump won. It is not that Kamala Harris lost. It is not that my favorite candidate lost. The source of my frustration and my anger is that we as a country lost. We had the opportunity, the responsibility in my mind, to vote for, and therefore vote for the better candidate. To vote for a woman who was supremely qualified. To vote for a woman who, while not everything she ever said or did were things I agreed with, at least I understood that she had a conscience, that she had morals, that she had motivations beyond her own vanity. And instead, we elected for a second time a man who has done nothing but prove what an awful, shallow, petty, stupid human being he is. There's not a redeeming quality in the President of these United States. There's not one. We lost. We as a country lost in November. And it's going to take a long time to truly understand what all that means. And it's going to take a long time when when he finally leaves office, it's going to take a long, long time to repair the damage that he's done and is doing and will continue to do. To our standing as a country in the eyes of the rest of the world, to the institutions that we had built, to social and political norms. We're going to have a lot of work to do. And I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be here ready to do I'm ready now. This channel is part of me starting to do the work. I'm trying to get out ahead of it. Because I didn't know what else to do. As I have urged you many times in previous episodes and will continue to do, I joined my local Democratic Party organization. But I needed somewhere to direct my energy, and this is where I started. This is not all I'm ever going to do. I can't. I thought I knew what Fredrick Douglass was talking about. I will never truly understand. I've never been a slave like he was. I haven't had to flee the country for fear of retribution. I'm closer to understanding what he felt and what he meant in that speech than I ever wanted to be. 1852. That's a very long time ago. And here we've learned almost nothing. It seems. I'm very sad today. And I've said before that the temporary feeling of depression from something like this is anger without ambition. I'm not going to sit like this forever. I'm going to sit with it today because today is supposed to be a day of celebration, but I just can't. I just can't celebrate. Yes, we have a president of these United States who proudly is spearheading an effort to make life more difficult for people who are already downtrodden. Regardless of whether they actually have a criminal record or not. Just, they don't look like us. So let's get them out of here. It's shameful. And I won't stop saying so. It's just shameful. Wherever you are, I hope that you were able to spend today with friends and family. Here's to the Republic. I wish I don't have an ending. I wasn't even sure I was going to film today, but I just felt like I had to say something. And starting with the words of Fredrick Douglass seemed like the only proper way to do so. If like Fredrick Douglass and myself, you are unable to rejoice and must mourn today, then keep your powder dry and keep your quiet rage. Good night and happy birthday, my fellow Americans.